Hello, this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and today we are looking at undergraduate study options, undergraduate scholarship options. I don't know how many of us are still online. This event was supposed to hold about an hour ago, but I did put out a message saying that it was moved by an hour. Now, here we are to discuss undergraduate scholarship options for studies in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, New Zealand, different parts of the world. Now, first things first, this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and regardless of where you're joining us from, we do this kind of conversations from time to time. I hold scholarship discussions, I hold networking discussions, and then I hold personal development conversations. I am a PhD student in the UK under a fully funded scholarship. I was fully funded at my bachelor's degree in Russia. My master's degree was also fully funded in Russia, and at the moment, I'm having another scholarship that is funding my PhD studies here in Scotland in the United Kingdom. So if anybody is here and interested in scholarships, then this is the right place for you to be. Why are we discussing undergraduate scholarships today? A couple of days ago, I put out a post asking the opinions of the followers of this page, like to understand the levels of scholarship that everyone is looking for, the categories of scholarship that everyone is looking for. And then when you go back to that post and look through the responses of the people, you will find that a good majority of the people are looking for undergraduate scholarships. Now, there are others who are looking for master's degree scholarships. I think the master's degree seekers are actually in the majority, but we also have people who are looking for PhD scholarships. We have people who are looking for postdoctoral study options. And all of these categories are things we address on this page. But today, we want to dedicate some time to undergraduate scholarship options, and want to do very good justice to it. Once again, this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and I'm reaching you today from Aberdeen in Scotland. Do stay with me, and while others keep joining the event, let's start the conversation by saying that undergraduate scholarships are actually in two categories. Maybe others might classify them into 3, into 4, into 5, but for the sake of this conversation, I want to classify undergraduate scholarships into 2 different categories. And the first category will be those scholarships that are obtainable in your country. And then the other scholarships will be the scholarships that are obtainable in countries beyond the shores of your own home country. Now, if you come from certain countries, you will find that there are companies within that country that will offer scholarships to students in the country, that will offer scholarships to students from that particular country in their different institutions. I remember back in the days in Nigeria, there used to be oil company sponsored scholarships to Nigerian students who were maybe like in their first year at the university, in their second year at the university. That's 100 level, 200 level, and all that. Now, if you look back to your own country, you will find that there are those kind of institutions within your country that will also offer scholarships to people from your country. And by the way, if you are joining this live event, please help me just hit the like button on your screen right there and hit that share button, because we want to reach as many persons as possible within this category. I know, of course, that some of you who are joining today might be people looking for master's degree scholarships, but we are going to host a different event for master's degree students. We're also going to host a different event for PhD students, because there are a couple of differences in the way you approach each of these scholarship options. However, even if your level is a master's degree, a PhD, a postdoctorate degree, if you're watching us now, please just help me share this video, because there will be somebody from your family, somebody within your circle of friends that has somebody whose child or whose son or daughter is looking for an undergraduate scholarship option. You want to help us to help them. You want to help me to reach those people. So please touch the share button, touch the like button, and let every one of them get to see this event and let them get to learn how to actually go about these scholarship options. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and we have a global audience. Because of that, whoever joins us would normally help us just let me know where you joined us from. If you have joined us from Nigeria, just type Nigeria. If you've joined us from Ghana, please just type Ghana. If you've joined us from Pakistan, please just type Pakistan. And then if you've joined us from any other part of the world, please just let us know in the comment section where you've joined us from. Now, again, remember to drop your questions in the comment section, and I will get back to the questions at the end of the event. Now, let's get back to the main conversation. There are two categories of scholarships, the ones within your country and the ones outside of your country. Now, the concept or the idea, the main topic of our conversation today will be those scholarships that take you from your country to somewhere else outside of your country. Right? So if you are from somewhere in Africa, from somewhere in the Asian continent, you're from somewhere in, say, any other part of the world, we're looking at scholarship options that can take you from your country today and then move you to some other countries. I will let you know, share some ideas on what you need to do in order to prepare. And actually, even those who are still writing their O-level exams should actually be joining this live session, because this is an event that will benefit them just in the next couple of years. Now, the first one you need to know is that there are certain scholarships that will be funded by your country to countries outside of yours. And, because of how global this the audience of this page is, we may not be able to go into the details of each of the countries, like talk about Ghana, talk about Sierra Leone, talk about Ethiopia, talk about Madagascar, talk about Indonesia, about Pakistan, about India, and all the rest of them. But the point is, you need to figure out the fact that there are scholarships that your country will have, because most countries actually do have a Ministry of Education, and within that Ministry of Education very often sits a scholarship board. And that scholarship board is usually in charge of offering these kind of scholarships to students from that particular country. In the case of the country where I come from, the scholarship board has got like different scholarships, including the ones that are administered within the country and some other scholarships that are funding studies outside of the country. Right? So you want to understand, you want to go back to your country and look through the Ministry of Education, or just look up the scholarship board for your country. And once you're able to understand, or once you're able to find the scholarship board of your home country, then you've started out on a very good note to find scholarship opportunities, to find scholarship options that are applicable to people from your own country specifically. So these are not scholarships that you will be competing with against people from other countries. You're not going to be in competition with someone from Nigeria. If you are from Ghana, for instance, you will not be in competition with someone from the Gambia. If you are from Sierra Leone, under these kind of scholarships, if you are from Kenya, you're competing against people from Kenya. If you are from Rwanda, you're competing against people from Rwanda. If you are from Angola, for instance, your competition is going to be against people from your own country, from Angola. You wouldn't be competing against Nigerians under these kind of scholarships. Now, they are also in two forms. There are those ones that will be sort of a bilateral educational agreement between your country and some other country outside of yours. And there are some that will just be your country, or maybe some regional government within your country, or some state government within your country sponsoring people to go travel out to study in some other places with certain kind of conditions. There are some that will come with a condition that once you are done with your studies, you have to come back to your home country to make an impact, to, utilize the knowledge you've gained to create an impact within your community. There are some others that will basically just let you finish your studies and then make progress where you are, or even migrate to some other country. Right. Now, you want to see all the details of the scholarship, the conditions attached to it, and if the conditions are something you are fine with, then you move on with your application. We're going to discuss the details of what you need to start doing in terms of your application to actually stand you out. But first, we are discussing all the various options that are available so that you know what is available, you know what you should be applying for, you know what you can be chasing. And I will give case-specific examples for people from Nigeria towards the end of the conversation so that we don't get stuck within one country while all the people from the rest of the globe are following the event. Now, you have noted that your government can have scholarships, and those scholarships can come in form of bilateral educational agreements. They can also come in the form of non-bilateral educational agreements. You may also understand that there are attachments. Some will require that you come back. Some others will not require that you come back. Now, the scholarship that funded my own bachelor's degree studies would require that you come back, finish up your your National Youth Service before you can reapply for an additional scholarship through the Federal Scholarship Board. And actually, before you can even reapply for any scholarship that's funded by the government. Right? But then in my time, we had the privilege of having a double scholarship in terms of a scholarship that covered the bachelor's degree and the master's degree at the same time without a break in between, even though I think at the end of our bachelor's, we had to do some sort of a reapplication in terms of they had to evaluate our grades and then had to like look through the progress of all the people to be able to reissue the scholarship to fund the master's degree. But we didn't have to break between those between the master's degree, between the bachelor's and the master's to go back home to do the National Youth Service. However, at the end of the National Youth Service, there is no attachment to say that you must stay back in the country to work. You can actually just move out at the end. And if you had no interest in, reapplying for any other scholarship through the body or through the government of my country, then you could basically just stay back in the country where you studied and continue your life there, continue to build your career there, as one of my colleagues eventually did. As one of my colleagues eventually did. So these are the kind of scholarships your government might have. And if you are looking at those bilateral educational agreements, one of the countries I know that has got a lot of these bilateral educational agreements is Russia. The other country I know that has got a lot of them is Hungary. And then Romania has also got a number of these kind of scholarship options. Actually, even those who are going for masters and PhDs can also apply for these kind of scholarships. But very often, a majority of the number that are considered under bilateral educational agreement scholarships will be the bachelor's degree students or those intending to start their bachelor's degree studies. And then, of course, I know that some persons will make the argument of, well, I have started my bachelor's degree, I am already in year 1 or I'm in year 2 in my home country. But the question is, even if you're in year 1 or you are done with your first, your 100 level in your home country, if you come from one of those countries where engineering is studied for 5 years and you move after your first year, you will end up graduating almost at the same time as your colleagues who continued in your country. Right? This is not to say that you should close down what you are studying now. No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. But if your financial condition is actually a very tight one, if you're in a difficult position financially, you may want to start looking out because, again, when you look in the long term, what is your aspiration? What's your passion? What is your drive? What exactly is moving you and where exactly are you intending to get to? Because once you have this clearly defined, then you may be able to fix the question of, should I apply? Should I leave my 100 level and go out, or should I continue with my 100 level and then target a scholarship at the point of my master's degree? These are the kind of questions you may want to ask yourself. These are the questions you may want to answer. And when you do all of this, you will find that you will be in a better position to make a more guided decision. If you're following us at this point, please just help me hit the like button. Please just touch that like button there, or touch that share button there, because it helps us actually get to a wider audience. Now, apart from this government-funded scholarship, let's talk about some other scholarships that are going to put you in competition with a wider audience, with maybe like an African, a regional kind of audience, or a global audience. And we will start with one of the scholarships that's currently open, which is the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. I know that a lot of you have heard about MasterCard Foundation Scholarship as a postgraduate sponsored or a postgraduate scholarship. That is in terms of the scholarship sponsoring master's degrees in different parts of the world, in Canada, in France, in the UK, in a host of different countries. But you may not know that the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship actually also covers bachelor's degree students, right? It may not cover bachelor's degree students in many of the big name countries, like you may not find a MasterCard Foundation Scholarship that covers studies in the UK at a bachelor's degree level. But if you head on to the MasterCard Foundation's website and you have a look through that website, I will actually drop the website in the comment section of this video at the end of the conversation so that you can go back and look through it. But for now, just stay focused on understanding the content of the website and where you should actually be looking at when you get to that website. So you go to MasterCard Foundation Scholarship website and you will find that there are scholarships on that website that are dedicated to bachelor's degree students. And many of those scholarships will be in schools in Kenya, schools in South Africa, schools in, I think there is a school in Egypt as well. And then there is a school in South Africa, Kenya, and Ghana. But what you need to understand is that the MasterCard Foundation also does not sponsor every single course, right? And because it doesn't sponsor every single course, you want to see how closely are these courses to your own main course. Are these the programs you can modify your conditions to meet? Are you interested in maybe making a little bit of a change to the course you wanted to study in order to be able to fit into the scholarship, the list of courses sponsored under this scholarship? Are you interested in maybe like modifying a little bit? Can you adjust your passion and your interest a little bit? If you are interested in computer engineering and you find computer science, are you in a position to make that choice of going for a computer science course instead of a computer engineering course? If you are interested in engineering or maybe like mechanical engineering and the course that is sponsored is electronic engineering, are you interested or able to make that adjustment? Now, your interest or your ability to make those adjustments will depend on a number of things. Right? It will depend on maybe how much you actually need the scholarship, like how much of a financial difficulty you are in, because some persons are in such their financial situations that yes, they've got good degrees, they've got good grades, but they don't have the money to sponsor their further studies. And so because they don't have the money to sponsor their further studies, they are bound to now take that kind of option where they make certain kind of sacrifices. So the much I know, MasterCard Foundation Scholarship does not sponsor courses like medicine and surgery. It doesn't sponsor courses like law, right? It doesn't sponsor just a number of courses. But when you get to their website and then you get to the individual partner universities, you'll be able to find out which course is supported, which course is not supported, which course is sponsored, and which of the courses is not actually sponsored under these programs. Right, but that's just the way you want to go about it. Now, MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, again, to our audience who are not Africans, is purely more or less an African kind of program. Is dedicated to sponsoring Africans, is dedicated to sponsoring programs for sub-Saharan African students and trying to build human capital within the sub-Saharan African region. So if you are from the Asian continent, these kind of scholarships may not be for you, but we're getting to the other scholarships that actually will touch everybody, that are open to all the people within this category of seeking undergraduate scholarships. If you are interested in undergraduate scholarships within your country, please have a second look at your home country. You will find the oil companies, you'll find your government, your state government, regional government, federal government, all of those kind of institutions that are sponsoring those kind of scholarships within your country. Today, we're more interested in discussing scholarships outside of your country. We're discussing more or less global scholarship opportunities for students who are just breaking into their undergraduate studies. And this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. If you are still following this conversation, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. It goes a long way in helping us achieve the very aim of these conversations, the very purpose and the very goal that this page is set to accomplish. Now, let's continue. So MasterCard, we've looked at it, and again, let me also highlight that the deadlines for application for the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship varies. It will vary depending on the school you are choosing to go to. Is going to differ depending on the particular institution's deadline. At the moment, I know that I think there's a school in Ghana that's currently accepting applications for MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, and this is a very basic. I will also put that link in the comment section, and the application process is very basic. Like, it's just more like for you to go to the website, download the form, fill out that form, and then at the end of filling out that form, email the form and your supporting document to a particular email address or by post office to a particular postal address. And once you've done that before the deadline, you will be able to actually get yourself considered for the scholarship, and then you stand a chance of winning the scholarship. Now, the other kind of scholarships you want to be looking at are the scholarships that are offered by specific institutions outside of your country. Now, if you have an interest in going to, say, the United States of America for your undergraduate studies, and whenever scholarships are mentioned, actually, you should even start thinking of the United States, because the United States has got lots of options for scholarships. There's going to be a lot of competition coming into the United States, but the advantage is that there are several universities in the US. I think there is no country in the world that has got as many universities as the United States has got. And because the United States has got all this massive number of universities, then they've got like a massive number of scholarship options as well. And then there is a lot of funding going into it. In fact, recently, one of our followers on this page won a scholarship that's going to last for 4 years of his bachelor's degree. And that scholarship is worth about $30,000 US dollars per year. So you can begin to imagine that. And these are scholarships that people win within the United States. Of course, some of them will require you to write your SAT exam. Some will require you to write your IELTS exam. But if you look at the main value of the scholarships, the cost of writing all these exams and the stress of writing the exams actually fade into insignificance, because the amount of money that you will get paid, and then the opportunity to actually study in the United States, gain that international degree, and then have that international exposure and start building a network of other international students is something that you cannot even compromise, and something that you can't even compare with the amount of money that you will be required to pay for those exams that you'll be required to write. Okay, so these are other scholarships that you want to be looking at, and very often the best way to go about these other kind of scholarships is to just go to the website of the institution. Don't look at it from something as something very big. Don't go spend your money on some agent. You can do these things by yourself if you follow the instructions I will just be giving out now. Go to the website of the school you are interested in attending for your undergraduate studies. Let's say you go to University of, or you are interested in going to Yale's University. Then when you get to, or maybe like University of Texas at Austin, I love that school, and let me just use it as an example. It's an oil state, of course, and an oil and gas engineer, I will always be in love with oil producing areas of the world. So you go to University of Texas at Austin, and you go to the bachelor's degree section, bachelor's programs. There will always be a section on the website of most of these institutions that mentions fees and funding. Some will mention fees, some will mention fees and funding, some will mention funding and scholarship opportunities. So you'll see all the options for funding. You will see the ones that are partial funding. You will see the ones that are full funding. You will see the ones that are, some form of grant, some form of support, some that are not actually a scholarship, but more like a bursary that is paid to you, just a one-off bursary that you get paid like at one point of your study. But you can also see all the other scholarships that are fully funded within the university. They may come in the form of excellence scholarships from the university. They may come in the form of a chancellor's scholarship. There are some that will just cover your first year in the school. There are some others that will cover your first year and then are subject to renewal based on your academic performance. You want to understand the details of all the scholarship options that are there so that when you launch out into applying, you know the way that you are packaging your application. And then you know what you are expecting at the point of winning the scholarship and getting into that particular institution. So we've discussed three categories of scholarships. The MasterCard was just an example. There will be other kinds of other scholarships within that category of external institutions funding a scholarship for somebody who is from a particular country to study in some other country, depending on a regional basis, maybe on a continental basis, and all that kind of stuff. If you look within your country, there might even be somebody within your country, a philanthropist, that is actually sponsoring students to go study abroad. In Nigeria, there is one man, I think a pastor of one church that was trending in the news. He sent some boys who were called Happy Boys to study in Cyprus, and then the Happy Boys went to Cyprus and became too happy and left their studies because probably they felt the studies were making them unhappy. And then eventually, it's a long story, but eventually they were deported back to Nigeria, and I guess they are very much unhappy at the moment with their individual state. So, but the point is, look for the philanthropists within your country that are sponsoring people to go study abroad. You may have them, you may not have them, but the one I know that everybody has got access to are the ones within the institutions. If we would want a one-on-one, maybe like a Zoom section that lets us share screens and provide further guidance on this, then that's something we may be able to do, but that will be based on demand. If you are interested in something of that kind, then you let me know in the comment section if you want us to organize like maybe a 45 to 1 hour Zoom session to discuss these scholarships, like walk through the website of a particular institution and then find where to see these scholarship options and what they entail. Then just let me know in the comment section that this is something you would want us to do, and then we can plan towards it. I believe our undergraduate students need lots of care and lots of guidance, and if there is a good number of interest in that, I will be willing to do that at no cost to anybody at all. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and we are discussing undergraduate scholarship options. So what do you do, and what are the things that will help you stand out in all of these scholarships for undergraduate students? Number one, you need to have a very good O-level certificate, a good O-level result. Right? And when I say O-level result, I don't mean that you must have like I don't know how many maybe I should even ask, because again, this should also be a learning platform for me. So in your country, how many subjects are you required to write in your O-level exam? Let me just know, how many courses are you required to write in your O-level exam in your country? Back in Nigeria, I think it's a minimum of 7 and then a maximum of 9. In my time, I did 9. Many of my friends did 9. So, but a good O-level result does not mean that you have 9 A1s. In our country, in West Africa, the way it's graded is you can have A1, you can have B2, B3, C4, C5, I think C6, D7, E8, and then F9, right? Yeah, that's the way it's graded. But distinctions A's and B's are considered distinction, but you don't necessarily even need to have all distinctions in your WAEC like some other persons did before you qualify for some of these scholarship options. But you need to have at least a good O-level result, at least meet the entry-level requirements for the particular institution you are interested in going to. And when you meet that particular requirement, then you can start reaching out to the university, reaching out to the course leader, and then understanding the needs of the scholarship. If you will be required to write an essay, then what does the essay ask of you? What does the essay want you to include in that essay that you will be writing? Is it going to ask for your leadership skills? Is it going to ask you for your contribution to society? Is it going to ask you about your passion? Is it going to ask you about your interest in the course? Is it going to ask you about your future plans after you must have used this scholarship to finish up your studies? And then once you have those pictures clearly stated, then you go into the essay writing phase, and you want to address the subject of the essay itself. You don't want to drift away from the subject of the essay and start writing something different. There are people who, for instance, are asked to write an essay that details their contribution to the community, details their contribution to the society, and then they go off the point and begin to write about how the subject they are about to study will help them to contribute to the society. That's it might look similar, but that's completely different from what the essay was asking you to write. If the essay is asking you to write about your contributions to society, then it's more like you looking into your past and then bringing out examples from that past to say that this is what you've done to help people. And then what you've done to help people could be something as small as what you've done to help your mates to survive. It could be something as simple as what you've done to help your mates to be able to succeed academically. So if you are somebody very intelligent in your class, very intelligent in your set, and you've been sharing knowledge with others, you've been sharing, teaching others, maybe like mathematics, or maybe like physics, or maybe like chemistry, government, literature, anything, then that could be something that you may want to talk about in the essay. If you're somebody who has been involved in helping vulnerable people, maybe like within your society, there are certain elderly people that you have been able to help in one way or the other. These are people you may want to actually refer to, or these are cases you may want to refer to in your write-ups. If you are a member of a particular society that has gone to maybe like do a cleanup of a beach, I think someone from Sierra Leone, is it Sierra Leone? I think Sierra Leone. Sent me an essay he had written at some point to review, and this was somebody looking for an undergraduate scholarship, but he had done amazingly well. He had organized outreaches to go clean up the beach. He was doing extramural lessons. He was doing quite a number of things that actually feed into that category of what have you been able to do to help the society. Right? And if you are a parent and watching this, you may want to help your child, to guide the child in the direction of, yes, we know that there is a scholarship ahead of you that you can apply for, and you want to start taking actions. You want to start planning ahead and preparing that child for advantage. You want to start preparing that your cousin for advantage. You want to start preparing that your nephew or your niece for advantage in this kind of scholarships. You have the knowledge now that leadership and contributions to society could stand them out, particularly in the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship application. They are going to ask you to talk about a particular time when you've been able, or a situation where you've contributed to the society, because they are trying to raise world leaders. They're trying to raise people who have a mindset of leadership, a mindset of helping the society, a mindset of helping to build up the society from which they come. So if you are one of those people that have got parents, or you've got a child, or you've got a relative that may be applying for these kind of scholarships, you want to encourage them to start developing their skills. You want to start challenging them to develop these skills, to contribute to society, to organize something, or to participate in certain kind of things. If there is a debate, or if there is an essay competition about developing the society, they can write. If there is a newspaper, a local newspaper that publishes articles about leadership, you can encourage them to write and then send out to the editor of that newspaper, discussing the challenges of the society in which they live, and then proffering solutions. You can guide them in this kind of things. They can write them up, you review them, you read through them, and then you push those kind of things out to the editors of those newspapers. And this becomes a reference for the child to use when the child is actually applying for things that are, global, things that are more or less scholarships and all of those kind of things. Let the child sit down, draft those things based on the child's perspective of the society in which he or she lives. It could be an essay about primary school education within your country, or an essay about primary school, secondary school education within your country, providing solutions to ways of improving the quality of education, providing solutions to ways of maybe improving teacher retention. There are institutions where the teachers do not stay for so long, especially in private institutions. That child can take up an essay on that, write it, and then you think of ways of trying to publish it. Even if the newspapers are not interested in publishing them, in this particular age and world, there are lots of people in different places that, blogs, social media sites, and social media pages where this child's post can actually be published. It might gain attention, it might not gain so much of attention, it might gain so many likes or not gain so many likes, but the idea is you're trying to build up the child's resume, you're trying to build up the child's portfolio, so that when the child goes out to apply for all these scholarships, the child has something that the person can say and the person can actually reference. I remember in my case, I did one essay, one article at some point on LinkedIn. This is not as a child, of course. I was well grown at the time. I was done with my master's degree at the time, but that's an essay that I can actually, an article I can refer to at any point. If I'm asked about a particular kind of challenge within the country, I can make reference to that article and say, well, this is what I think, and this is what I have published about maybe age discrimination in the workplace in Nigeria, and then these are the solutions that I've been able to profile to that. Whether or not that was going to be integrated into policy making, it's really not my business. It's maybe my business to some point, but at the point of applying for another scholarship, that's not the question is not where these solutions integrated into the way the country operates. The more question is, did I do something to actually make some contribution to the society? Did I do something to actually change certain things in the society? If you come from a religious background or a Christian background, then you can think of how do you organize outreaches to elderly people within your church, within your community, within your local environment. And you can be the father of a child, and then you motivate that child to go into that kind of situation and then lead that kind of outreaches. It could be to go maybe just help the elderly person clean up the person's house at some point. That's a contribution to the society. It could be maybe to write a story about how the government could be caring for the elderly people. That's something that is a contribution to the society. And then when you have your WAEC results, and then you have this package of portfolio within your circle, then you are building up yourself for advantage in the marketplace of applying for some of these scholarships. There are some of them that will be purely need-based. There is this, is it Ashiniga scholarship or something? I can't remember the name of the scholarship just right now, but I remember I did post that scholarship here on this page, and it's a scholarship for Africans and a scholarship for people who are actually, it's a need-based scholarship, because I remember one of their requirements was maybe somebody is an orphan or somebody is from a very poor background and all that kind of thing. So there will be those kind of scholarships, but most of the merit-based scholarships will be competitive. You need to actually stand out in terms of what you've done, in terms of your academic performances in the past, in terms of your contribution to the society before you can win these scholarships. And if you are a parent, do not let your child just fold his hands and contribute to nothing. If you, the child is in a particular school, and the school has got like all these societies within the school, maybe like science club and maybe like debate club, all those kind of organizations. Some could be religious, some might not be religious, purely academic. You may want to encourage your child to participate in one of them. And if that child holds a leadership position within that kind of organization, that's something that the child can actually refer back to. And that's an opportunity to actually start building up leadership experience that the person can refer to in some of these essays that the child will be using for applications. This is more like addressing the parents, but if you are a child and looking for this kind of scholarships, you just integrate it into yourself, and it's never too late. Right? It's never too late. Even if you're out of secondary school already, and then you're at that point in between, at the end of secondary school and between entering into a university, you can organize something and then refer to that when you write up your essays. Of course, the main benefit of doing something good is not for you to use it in an essay, but using it in an essay can be a physical reward or an earthly reward for your good works. And so you want to take advantage of those kind of opportunities, and then you want to take advantage of those kind of reward options, right? This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. If anyone is still watching us, please hit the share button on this video just right now, and I will actually be really very grateful. What we share here are scholarship options, and we discuss how you can actually win scholarships. And sometimes we talk to young people, sometimes we talk to parents, because to a large extent, every child needs some level of guidance. Every child needs some level of direction. And if you're able to provide that direction as a father, as a mother, as a brother, as a sister, as a cousin, nephew, niece, and all of that, you are able, you are in a position to help that your relative or that individual, that young person around you, to actually position himself or herself for advantage in the future. And this is what we do at Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. You can find this page on YouTube by same name, Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. And if you do subscribe on YouTube, I will be actually very grateful. We are about 851 on YouTube subscribers, but we are looking to hit 1,100 subscribers on YouTube before the first quarter of this year runs out. If you help us achieve that dream, I will actually be very grateful. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and while we continue in the conversation, you can start dropping your questions in the comment section. I will look through and discuss answers to all of your questions. Let me know where you're joining us from. If you are still with us, if you have joined us from Aberdeen in Scotland, please let me know. If you've joined us from Ghana, please let me know. If you've joined us from any part of the world, we have a global audience. Do let me know in the comment section, and I will be really grateful. So you go to the website of all these universities and you look through them. You will see the scholarship options that they have, and then you will see the specific conditions of those scholarships. And as a matter of fact, whenever you're writing a scholarship application essay, you want to first understand what is the target audience for this particular scholarship. Is this scholarship designed for people who have interest in oil and gas engineering? Is this scholarship designed for people who have interest in health-related courses? Is this scholarship designed for people who have the potential to become future leaders? Or is this scholarship designed for people who have is this a need-based scholarship designed to help people from poor backgrounds to access good education, either in their country or abroad? Understanding this should actually form the baseline for the structure of your essay. If it's a need-based scholarship and you start talking about how you've got excellent degrees and how you've had all the A's, how you had all the distinctions, you're actually not addressing the points that will make you win the scholarship. right? If it is an excellence-based scholarship and you're addressing how your parents are poor, how they struggled with finances to see you through your secondary school education or your high school, you're actually not addressing the points that will make you win the scholarship. If the scholarship is an excellence-based scholarship, you want to talk about your excellent academic performance. You want to talk about the way you stand out academically. In fact, myself, I was writing, maybe there's something we may look in details into. But when you write about academic excellence, don't think that you're writing about academic excellence is just to talk about the grades you've had, the amazing grades. You could write about academic excellence in the form of how you overcame your learning difficulties or how you overcame your poor performances in the past and transitioned into a high-performing student. That's even a better story that sells and catches the interest of most people, because people generally are emotional beings. I keep saying this from time to time. And because all of us have got emotions, everybody seems to love that from grass to grace kind of story, from a failure to a success kind of story. So if you are applying for an excellence-based scholarship and you've got this part of you that was a failure at some point, you don't want to ignore it completely. But you want to be able to tell the story of how you overcame that challenge, even if in just a sentence, that this is who you were, this is what you did to break from this other position to this particular position, and then this is what you did to stay sustained on that level that you actually came to. So you were somebody who was poorly performing, and then you came to that position of excellence by doing certain things differently from what you were doing at the time when you were a failure. And then you did certain things to remain in that position of excellence. That is a perfect storyline that you can bring. But if an excellence-based scholarship, you are discussing how your parents are poor, how your community is poor, how the richest person in your community doesn't make up to £1,000 per month, then you're actually not addressing the points that will make you win the scholarship. If it is a leadership kind of scholarship and you are talking about how you had excellent academic performances, how you had all the other things, how you don't have money and all of that, you are not addressing the point that will make you win that scholarship. I know that many of the undergraduate students will need guidance on these things, but if we have, like I mentioned, enough interest in the comment section indicating that there are people who want like a Zoom kind of mentorship on that to be able to assess and to be able to win this kind of scholarships, I will be very much open to doing it, because I do believe that the master's people actually, the bachelor's degree people actually need more of my attention than the master's degree people and the PhD people. Not because everybody is perfect, but because these ones are more like from a younger generation, and then people who might need more guidance. I'm available to everybody, of course, but if the bachelor's people want me at the same time when the master's people want me, I may default to helping the bachelor's degree scholarship seekers. Now, let's continue with the conversation. So whether it's the United States, whether it's Canada, whether it's the United Kingdom, whether it's Ireland, Switzerland, any place that you are interested in going to, just go to the website of the university, look for the section that talks about funding opportunities in the university, and then focus your attention on those funding. You will be able to dig out one that actually fits your interest. I don't want to start listing all the scholarships that exist, that this one exists in this school, because again, we are a global audience and then people are looking at different countries. But when you start looking at any of those scholarships, these things that we've discussed today from the beginning of this video till this point are the things that should form your guidance, that should become your guiding principles. Look at scholarships from that direction, and then look at scholarships from the position that you can actually win them, right? In fact, many of the people who are winning scholarships are not more intelligent than yourself. Many of the people who are winning scholarships do not have better stories than yourself. Many of the people who are winning scholarships do not have maybe like a more leadership experience than yourself. And even if you don't have the leadership experience yet, between now and the time you will apply for that scholarship, you should be able to organize something build up something that can go into your essay as part of your leadership experience or as part of your contribution to the society. In the current world, you can stay in the comfort of your room and be contributing to the society. If you are somebody who has got like the ability to speak the way I'm speaking to a camera now, you can actually open up a page on Facebook and begin to discuss with people, begin to teach people the thing you know. And when you are asked about your contribution to your society, that platform and all the things you've shared on that platform can become your contribution to the society. If I'm asked today to talk about my contribution to the African continent and to maybe like countries where the developing world, I can begin to talk about how much these discussions I hold here on Facebook has helped people, how it has saved people from fraudulent individuals. I remember somebody reaching out to me from, I think, Zambia, when some group of people were trying to defraud the person of about $2,000 and claiming that they were going to offer him a traveling scholarship in Turkey. Right? That could be regarded as my contribution to the African continent or my contribution to his country, even though I am not from that particular country. And then I can begin to talk about all the people who have won scholarships through my guidance and through my mentorship. All the testimonials that we've got of people winning the PTDF scholarship, of people winning other forms of scholarships to universities in the US, to the UK, to France, and all of these places. Those could be packaged as a story that tells about my contribution to the society. So if you don't have, let's say you made the mistake of not being involved in helping others during your during your high school days, and you are at this point and looking for an undergraduate scholarship, and you know that the essay will require you to talk about your participation, your contribution to the society, how much you've helped the people. Now this is your time to either organize something online or go back to your community, organize the people around, go just to the streets and clean up a particular environment. Identify maybe like a blocked drainage in your community. If you're, of course, in most of the developing countries, you have all these drainage systems that are blocked here and there. You have all these liters of waste all over the place. Organize some people and go have those things cleaned up. Right? You don't even need to go organize people who are younger. You can just find your mates, your colleagues who are actually looking for the same kind of scholarship you are looking for. Put yourselves together, organize yourselves, go do this job. You can use the story, your participation. The other person can use the story, his or her participation. And then in the end, all of you have got a story to tell about something you did for your society. This is wisdom coming from Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. And of course, this is what we do. The aim is to help as many of you as possible to be able to win and access these scholarships. I tell people that education is really expensive. Gone are the days when you think that education is cheap. It is not. Yes, of course, the cost of ignorance is higher and you don't want to be ignorant. You don't want to stay without education, but the cost of education is actually expensive. So my point is, if there is an organization, if there are institutions, if there are bodies, if there are government agencies that are able to offset this cost of education for you, then you should actually do the best you can. Do everything within your powers. Do everything within your control to be able to win this kind of scholarships. I know how much it would have cost my parents if they were to pay for my studies in Russia. I know how much it would have cost my parents, or it will cost my parents or cost me at this point if I was to pay for my studies in the UK by myself. Right? Education is not cheap. And because it's not cheap, you want to do everything within your powers to be able to win these scholarships. And you can. Yes, I keep saying you can, because by the time you look at it from the position of you can, then you start applying. And remember, on this page, I discussed very often how the difference between questions, because the way you ask a question, the kind of question you ask often determines the kind of response you get within yourself. The questions you ask somehow affect your next line of action. So if somebody is asking, can I win a scholarship? Most times, the answer is sort of a discouragement coming from maybe around the person. The person begins to look at, maybe my grades are not at the optimum, my grades are not the best, my grades are not this and not that. But if somebody is asking, how can I win a scholarship? The mindset changes. It's a complete shift of mindset, a complete change of direction, and a complete change of attitude to the things that somebody will begin to do and the way the person is going to start acting. Right? So for somebody who is asking, how can I win a scholarship? That's the person that will begin to, appreciate the value of the information I'm giving today, because the person will be looking at, oh, this is how my grades are. I know that somebody else has got a better grade probably, but the person who has got a better grade probably does not understand the need for community involvement, for contributions to my community, and for contributions in form of leadership, for maybe like essays addressing issues within my community, for events that actually organized to solve particular problems within my society. But if I do this, and then if I add that to my essay, I add that to my application, then I may stand a very good chance of winning, even against somebody who has got a better O-level grades than myself. That's how differently you can see the difference between the action of someone who is asking, can I? The action of somebody who is doubting, and the action of somebody who is looking for ways to actually get through and win what he or she is looking for. And you can do it. You can win it regardless. You can do the due diligence. You can do all the things that you need to do. And there will always be a category of scholarship that should be able to cover you if you have done the things you should do. Of course, don't expect to win a scholarship if you failed all the courses you were supposed to pass in your undergrad, in your high school education. Right? I keep saying undergraduate, I keep saying masters, because maybe it's been too long since I left secondary school. Yeah, but you want to start, you can't start thinking of winning a scholarship if you failed everything. Because even if somebody offered you a scholarship with all the failures, no university will actually admit you without passing certain kind of courses in your high school education. And there are people, in fact, I know some people who wanted to apply for a particular kind of scholarship, the scholarship that funded my studies in Russia. At the time, they used to require 5 distinctions in your O-level. And then there were people who had written the O-level exam the first time and did not make that 5 distinction, and then took the bold step of going back to rewrite the O-level exam in order to meet up that expectation. Right? Because if you don't meet the expectation, then you can't apply for the scholarship. You do not qualify for the scholarship. Right? And if you want to follow with your existing O-level exam, it doesn't qualify you. Some people go back actually to rewrite that O-level exam to make up for that kind of grade. Right? But these are things that you now need to look in details into, and then make up your mind on what's your best line of action. But before we leave, let's also address those who may not be very interested in scholarships, but are very much interested in affordable education abroad. Your parents have got the money, you've got the money, your uncle has got the money, your aunt has got the money, and they are willing to pay for your studies abroad, and they are looking for affordable destinations. In the UK, for instance, you may have to pay around £16,000 upwards. In Naira, that's somewhere around 30 million Naira at the moment. You may have to pay even more in some schools in the UK, up to like £27,000, which if you change it to Naira, you're looking at almost 50 million Naira for every year. So, but there are, in the United States, it's not a very different story. You could find schools that will charge you, the last time I checked, some years ago, you could find schools that will charge you somewhere maybe like $20,000 or maybe like $15,000. I think from $20,000 upwards. At the time, I was looking at master's degrees options at the time, of course, but I don't know exactly the cost of studying at a bachelor's degree level. But again, education is expensive in most developed countries. If you now go to countries like Lithuania, or you go to countries like Latvia, you go to countries like Austria, you go to countries like Czech Republic, you go to countries like Estonia, you go to countries like Malta, you will be able to find universities in those countries that will offer your course at a very cheap price compared to what you will get conventionally in most of the top league countries. So If you go to Austria, for instance, you get cheap schools. If you go to even Finland, you get cheap schools. If you go to Lithuania, you get cheap schools. And then if you go to Latvia, I know somebody who is just at the point of applying for a school in Latvia at the moment, and the university there is charging him about, I think, 3,800 euros per year. And the young man is going there to study something, law and business. And in some of these places, they are not English-speaking countries, I would need to mention. But if you go to those places, you will find English schools that teach certain programs in English. And then you want to see if the program you're interested in can be or is offered in English in those places. If it is offered in English in those places, you may want to grab that option as somebody who doesn't have, who has got a sponsor willing to send you out of your country. You don't want to break the bank if you don't have so much of a very fat savings. You may want to consider some of these countries. They are non-English speaking, but if you take up an English speaking course in an English speaking program or an English taught program in a non-English speaking country, that's the way I prefer to describe it. English taught courses in non-English speaking countries. If you take up those kind of courses, you will actually be saving a whole lot of money. But if you are going for those kind of courses, please pay attention to certain things. Ensure that the country has got like a good reputation. Ensure that the country has got a good education. And preferably, if you are coming to Europe for those kind of things, ensure that the country is within the European Union zone. So that at the point of finishing your studies there, the economy of the country might not be the greatest of economies, but you can take the advantage of that and the advantage of the membership of the EU to move into some of the other European Union countries more easily and without much stress. And that is an actual added advantage to yourself. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and now let's have a look at the questions. I believe this must have been helpful. If you found this live session helpful as somebody looking for an undergraduate scholarship, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button, and that will be really very helpful. While I wait for your questions, let me just grab a link to my YouTube channel and then post for us in the comment section. If you are able to if you are on YouTube, I believe most of us are. If you've got a Gmail account, then you do actually have a YouTube account. Please hit the subscription button once you get to the page or once you get to the channel. I will be really very grateful if you do that. We are on a race to 1,100 subscribers before the end of the first quarter of the year. And I look forward to your support in getting to that destination. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and today I reached you from Scotland, and I am now open to taking your questions in the comment section. Any questions at all regarding scholarships for undergraduate students? If you know that you've got parents somewhere who might need this, actually share it, because we addressed a whole lot of points today. Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and please just look at the comment section now. A link to my YouTube channel will be in the comment section shortly, and you can help me hit the subscription button right away. Questions? I am waiting. Oh. Okay. Any questions? Anybody has got any questions? I'm actually open to bringing anyone live. If you are interested in joining me live to ask your question, I am open to having you join live. Yeah, and then you ask me your questions. At the end of the questions, you will drop off, and then the next person can come ask his or her question. So this is our page on YouTube. Please just help me hit that subscribe button at the end of this event. Anyone got any questions, just indicate and I will bring you on live. There is somebody who has been with us since the beginning of the event. I don't really know your name, but your profile picture shows you're on a black sunshade and I think a black cap. I want to say a special thank you to you for joining us for this length of time. If you wouldn't mind, you can just drop a message in the comment section. I would like to know your name. I would like to know your interest and know the things that you may be interested in discussing further as it relates to scholarships for undergraduate students, or as it relates to scholarships in general, because, well, I've applied for a lot of scholarships. I've seen how a lot of scholarships work, and I understand a whole lot of scholarships because I have actually also won a number of scholarships. Bachelor's degrees, master's degree, PhD, all fully funded. And prior to that, I did win a scholarship even at the point of my high school education, or secondary education as we prefer to call it in Nigeria. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comment section. If I wait a little bit and there are no questions, I will call it a day, because when there are no questions, I prefer to assume that I've done a very nice job, because I also know that I teach well when I choose to teach. Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. There's a name. There's a reason we are called Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. Yep. All right. So in the absence of any questions, because I can't see any, I don't know if we are transmitting in real time or there is a delay. And because of that, maybe I just hang on a little bit further. But in the next 2 minutes, if there are no questions dropping in the comment section, I will be calling it a day and moving on to some other responsibilities to focus on my own PhD. Yeah, it's great. It was nice having all of us today, and let me just appreciate us and see if I can call out the names of some people. Jane Joseph, thank you for joining us today. Pinda Balami, thank you so much. Bilo Liberty, Abugu Richard, Amos, Ifeanyi Chukwu Itodo, Faisal Mohammed, Adam, David Chukwu, Yahuza, Tukol Asalafi, Yusufa Saidu, Greffin Mwene, Abubakar Musa Saulawa, Usman Abdullahi Nayaya. I like this name somehow. Lamin Kasama, thank you all for joining us today. Chinedu Abugu, thank you so much for joining us today. Okebu Victory, we are grateful you joined us today. Abu Bakal, as always, thank you. Yakubu, as always, thank you so much. There's a name I can't pronounce because they are not written with English alphabet. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Joel Olga, thank you so much for joining us today. Musa Ismail Ruwa, thank you so much for joining us today. Francis Sheffard, thank you so much. Elizabeth Chisha, thank you so much. Jimanda Aliyu, thank you so much. Ahmed Sagir, appreciate you joining us today. Mili Madziba, thank you so much. Mili is actually undergoing a training sponsored by this particular page, helping her to learn, to develop, to advance her academic writing. And that I did see a post about it some days ago, and seeing that you are actually enjoying that training is a very pleasant thing to behold. Thank you so much, Shegun. Thank you so much, Nyaba. Thank you so much, Pusha. Thank you so much, Florentine Love. All of you who have joined us today, I do sincerely appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And in the absence of any questions, do have a great night rest and a wonderful time. See you again soon. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. And as we say here, success is coming. We are preparing for it. And when we do find a pathway to success, we are not set free.